In this episode, I want to take a look at one of my models. Hi there, welcome to Aidans Railways. Today we're going to have a look at another Hornby locomotive model. In this case it is a Hornby Railroad example, catalogue number 3155. It's a British Railways Standard Class 9F. In this case number 92214, Cock of the North. This is another second-hand purchase. It is DCC ready. It was actually DCC fitted when I purchased it, but I've since removed the chip and put a blanking chip in place, because as I've said in other videos, at the moment I'm running everything analog, just for ease at the moment whilst the railway is getting built. So very reasonably priced. The outer box isn't in too bad shape, but the inside has seen some sort of damage as in the packaging department. But other than that, everything's pretty good. So what we'll do is we'll get this open and have a closer look. Right, so there we go. Now, I have got another 9F. It's a much earlier 9F. It's the old Ringfield Tender Drive loco. This, however, is a much later version of that 9F. In this case, like I say, it is loco drive, DCC ready. So I'll take the tender out and we can have a look. Now, there's a part of me that thinks that this might actually be the same moulding that was used on the much earlier version that I've got with the Ringfield motor, because there's a few telltale signs, but there's plenty of rivet detail on the actual tender, especially down here on the chassis end of things. But you can see very clearly here on the body shell. This does have sprung buffers, which that earlier model that I have doesn't. The earlier model is packed away at the moment, but that's actually been heavily modified, very heavily modified by myself. So I'll get that out in a later date. We'll do a video and we'll bring this one back out and show the comparisons. But on the back here we've got a nice set of ladders there, just moulded handrails and moulded details such as the lamp irons and things like that. So it's not a huge amount of detail that you get in a much more expensive Hornby 9F. It's got the smaller of the couplings fitted. It's just screwed on. This is another telltale sign of the old moulding as far as I'm concerned. In fact, when you look at the bottom of the chassis, you can clearly see the way that the moulding here is set up. It screams out that it's ready for the old Ringfield motor. So there's a part of me that says that this is definitely of the old mould and just modified. As you can see here, we've got tender pickup, but only, by the looks of it, only from one side. Don't quote me on that, but it definitely looks like it's just from one side of the actual the tender wheels itself. I'll have a closer look. Actually, no, it might be from both sides, because I'm looking here and I can see the pickups at that side, I can see them at that side. So maybe there are pickups on both sides of the tender wheels. It's obviously the late crest. It's just in the standard BR black. There is some detail here on the cab end of the actual tender, not a huge amount, and it is very lightly moulded. Blink and you'll miss it. But it's very light. I could be tempted to add a little bit of weight into that. I don't think it necessarily needs it, but it just feels like if you've got a long rake on the of sort of rolling stock on the back, that it could be tempted to just lift itself off the track with all of that extra weight behind it. If you had a bit of weight inside it, it might help keep it down. But very nice. We'll just put that to one side and onto the loco. And you can see here the damage that's actually took place to the packaging, but it doesn't appear to have affected the loco in any way. Just very quickly in the bottom here, sellotaped down, there are a couple of brake vacuum pipes there ready to be fitted. Obviously the previous owner hadn't got round to doing that quite yet, so let's have a look in the cab there, and you can see the moulded detail of the controls and things like that there. Obviously, it being a Hornby Railroad model, it hasn't really had it picked out in any way, sort of painted up, but it could be done. You could easily do that with a fine brush and a bit of patience. The glazing is very basic. Doesn't really need to be anything more than what it's got, to be honest, on there. I'm not entirely sure that the 9F I've got upstairs packed away has the glazing all the way along. I'll have to do a comparison and check at a later date. But there you are, on the side of the cab you can clearly see the 9F and the running number 92214. This pipework is just picked out in the standard black there, along with the rest of the loco. Very basic paint job really for the loco, but then again, there's so many of these in real life were just like this. I know that the one I have packed away, that actually has that all picked out in copper. So it is plastic, but it is picked out in copper. This has separately fitted handrails, very fine to be honest, and separately fitted safety valves there on the top, and on the smoke deflectors as well over here, you can just see. But everything else is just a moulded model, and I think that this really, it goes right back, I think, to about the 70s or 80s, this actual body shell. They may have re-engineered it, but the actual shell itself, it just seems to be almost identical to that of the one I've got upstairs, which is from a long time ago. On the front there, you can see the loco's running number on its smoke box door, and just moulded detail on there. Now this handrail is separately fitted, very basic, but it is separately fitted. And if you have a closer look, you can just see this actually is quite some fine detail on the smoke box there with the handrails and down the bottom there. Sprung buffers again at the front. Large D-shaped coupling on the front. Now that could be taken off, I suppose, but it seems to be sort of pinned on. I think I may just leave that. I don't want to tempt fate. And you can see on the smoke deflector there, just a printed nameplate of Cock of the North on there. I think it looks like the tampered print, so it is pretty sharp, to be honest. It may be a railroad model, but it's pretty sharp, the lettering on there and things. The valve gear and motion is absolutely exquisite, to be honest, for a railroad model. It's very fine indeed. Certainly not the one that's packed away certainly isn't quite as fine as that. It has the detail, but it's certainly not quite as fine as that. As prototype, you have a flangeless centre wheel there. This really does need to be third radius or greater. I know you can get away with second radius, but I wouldn't want to run the loco round like that. The front pony truck is sprung. You can just say make out the spring there. It is sprung. It does keep itself down on the track. It is a lovely runner. I did service it, but it didn't need a service. I just did it out of a matter of course, as I normally do with purchases that are second hand. There is no brake rigging underneath. I don't even think there's a space to do it. But it is the made in China. And you can see here clearly it's got the connections there when you connect to the tender on the bottom. So I'm looking at it now, you've got the connections for one side of the track and the other side of the track there. So it must be getting two signals from the tender. It has got really quite a substantial amount of weight behind this, and I know that the model that I have packed away certainly does not have this weight behind it. Obviously this has got the motor in it, flywheel and everything, unlike the other one. The other one is just simply there as a rolling chassis. The tender did all of the work with the fateful traction tyres on the Ringfield motor. I vividly remember having one when I was a child with the Ringfield motor, and it's screaming and squealing. The one I've got packed away doesn't do that, but then again, it's been looked after quite well, and it gets serviced when required. Although that one is heavily modified now. Doesn't look anything like it originally did. But we've got a double blast pipe chimney which is just moulded. There's nothing flash. There's nothing spectacular about this, but it is exactly as they were in the day. Luckily, more recently, the North Yorkshire Moors have finally managed to fully restore their 9F that's been sat there for years awaiting its turn to end up back on the rails in motion. So if you get the opportunity, you're in the North Yorkshire area visiting Whitby or that sort of area, pop over, go and have a look. I do believe that tender it's using at the moment is currently borrowed from a locomotive on the Nene Valley, but I might be wrong. But it's currently borrowing a tender at the moment until its tender is either built or finished. I don't know. I don't know the entire story behind it, but there is a one just like this in its BR black, currently being used on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. Well, there isn't an awful lot more to say about this. It was a steal. It is DCC ready. It's far better runner than the one that I have packed away. This was a spur of the moment purchase. It was different. It wasn't the same as the one I had, and I thought I've got to give it a try, especially if I do go to DCC in general. I figured it would be sensible to have one that doesn't need an awful lot of work doing to it. It was very easy to get into the body shell to remove the chip. Very easy. So that's a railroad one. Maybe at some point I might be able to pick up a more super detailed one and see if we can compare the two. But I think for the moment that's about it for this one. Don't forget, as always, if you like the content, if you like the 9F, that sort of thing, give the video a thumbs up. If you want to comment, if you've got a 9F, if you've got a super detail one, maybe you've got a crusty one, that sort of thing. If you want to comment, please do. I try to respond to all the comments as soon as I can. Obviously, it is as and when I actually get the opportunity to do so. I still work and things like that, so I work full time, and it can be quite awkward at times, but I always try to make that effort to reply. And don't forget, if you want to know when videos are being uploaded, don't forget to subscribe, press that bell icon and adjust the setting as to how you want it. And you'll be notified straight away as soon as content is uploaded. But let's put the tender and the loco together. So there we go. There is the railroad version of the Cock of the North BR Standard Class 9F. I think it would look very good with a rake of trucks behind it. Mineral ones, something like that. So yes, until next time, we'll be back very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye now.